But here's the good news. God loved the world, but how he loved it is his decision, not ours. Our mission is to love our neighbor, but loving your neighbor doesn't mean being their doormat. Loving means serving, not being enslaved. Remember the biblical phrase, we are kings and priests. What does that mean? It means we are called to govern and have dominion over what is ours. Governing isn't about being arrogant. It's about having clarity about who we are, our territories, and our responsibilities. A king governs with wisdom, without needing to flatter or bow to anyone. Many people live frustrated and sad because they've lost control over their lives. They've let others take over, as if their lives were a video game. Have you ever noticed when it feels like people have a joystick to control you? They frown, and you change your attitude. They praise you, and you change again. That's what it's like to live under someone else's control. Do you want to know what it truly means to displease? It's disconnecting emotionally from others' control. When you govern yourself, it doesn't matter if people praise or criticize you because in your mind, it has no effect. A true ruler defines themselves by the level of control they have over themselves, not by the money they possess. It's about governing your territories, physical, emotional, and spiritual, and not being manipulated by those around you. Now let's talk about something that confuses a lot of people. Investments. Recently, I overheard a conversation about Bitcoin. Some were saying, I'll buy when it drops. Others said, I'll invest when it goes up a bit more. This mentality of waiting for the perfect moment reflects a lack of patience and vision. A true leader understands that investing isn't about waiting for the right time. It's about having the patience to think long-term. People who act on impulse or external pressures often lose control, and many times their money too. I remember an experience I had with the stock market. We were involved in high-risk operations and I felt it was time to pull out. I decided to stop, but a friend of mine insisted on staying in. 3 days later, he lost 1 million reais. Why? Because he was driven by greed, the desire to earn more and more until he lost everything. Governing isn't just about knowing when to enter, it's especially about knowing when to exit. This applies to life as well. Often, having the patience and wisdom to stop at the right moment is more valuable than the desire to keep accumulating. Governing your life means knowing what's worth pursuing and what needs to be left behind. It's about owning your identity, setting boundaries, and living with purpose. Let me tell you something. Governing means making tough decisions and owning the consequences, even when the outcome isn't what you expected. Many people only want to invest or make decisions when everything looks perfect, but life doesn't work that way. Sometimes the perfect moment never comes, and it's up to you to decide anyway. Want to stop being too nice? Back up your decisions. Be brave enough to take responsibility, even for your losses. Some people only want to win. I see this even when I'm playing ping pong with my kids and their friends. There's always someone who wants to win at all costs, every single time. You know what I do? I go against them. Because life isn't just about winning, it's about learning. Winning is just the bonus for those who have learned. This lesson applies to every area of life. The other day I was playing soccer with a group, and one of the dads said to me, I need to learn to play because of you. I laughed. He's 50 years old and wants to become a great soccer player. That's not the focus anymore. Spend your energy on something that's truly worth governing. Life is like that. We need to choose where to invest our efforts. For example, I enjoy playing soccer, but I play for fun. When I mess up, I laugh. When I get it right, I laugh too. This is just leisure, not something to argue or stress over. But do you know what I've noticed? A lot of people get frustrated because they don't master the basics. Neither adults nor kids could handle a ball with force. So I told them, you're not mad at the game, you're mad because you lack control. This applies to life. If you don't master the fundamentals, you'll get frustrated. The foundation of anything is practice. Practice requires repetition, discipline, and often monotony. Yesterday, while I was grilling at home, someone came up to me saying, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. I started laughing. Being truly good at anything means you've practiced, and practiced some more. There's no such thing as talent without effort. It even reminds me of stories from my childhood. When you grow up with little in poverty, you learn to improvise and do things that impress others. And it's funny because many of these skills only come from continuous practice, from learning through trial and error. Governing your life is just like that, accepting that nothing comes without effort and that frustrations are part of the process. Let me tell you something funny. The other day we were walking on a slack line. I got up on the line, started doing some tricks, and someone asked, "How do you find time for this?" The answer is simple. When I was a kid, I had all the time in the world. While many kids were going to Disney, I was inventing games in the streets. I didn't visit Disney until 2020. Before that, I had already conquered every ride life had to offer. Now, what's the lesson here? To stop being nice, you need to be good. And to be good, you need hours of practice, whether it's in a sport, at work, or even in facing challenges. The other day we were playing ping pong. My son said, "I want to be the ping pong legend." I replied, "No, son. For now, just get the ball over the net." And we started adjusting. At first, he missed 9 out of 10 shots into the net, so we corrected that. Now, only miss by overshooting it to the other side. Once he stopped hitting the net or overshooting, we worked on aiming for the center of the table. You know what I learned from this? Nice people give up too quickly. When they fail, they say, "Oh, I'm just bad at this." But determined people ask, "How many hours will it take for me to get good?" The answer is clear. To be average at something, you need 300 hours of practice. Does that sound like a lot? It's not. If you quit Instagram, YouTube, or TV for a while, you can reach 300 hours in just 2 or 3 months. Now, if you want to be excellent, part of the top 0.1%, you need 10,000 hours. That's more than a year, but it's worth it because it's about training with the best, overcoming challenges and constantly progressing. Here's the point. If you really want something, stop being nice to yourself. If you've decided to wake up early, then wake up before the alarm goes off. That's what I've done my whole life. I woke up before dawn, took cold showers, and ran every day. No excuses. Let me tell you about an experience I had. One day, after skiing all day, completely exhausted, with a full stomach from a barbecue, I looked at the thermometer. Minus 17 degrees Celsius, snow falling. Do you know what I did? I went for a run. It was 10 p.m., and I was dead tired, but I kept the promise I made to myself. And do you know what I was thinking? I'm not nice to myself. I promised, and I'll deliver, even if I hate every second of it. The result? A lesson I carry to this day. Governing your life requires discipline. It's not easy, it's not comfortable, but it's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Even when I was exhausted, completely drained, I thought, I'm going to beat this. Why? Because I'm not nice to myself. When I decide to do something, that's it. It doesn't matter if it costs me, makes me uncomfortable, or leaves me tired. I'll see it through to the end. And this is where many people fail. They don't succeed because they're too nice to themselves. Often people who are nice to their own efforts act like they have all the time in the world. It's as if they're living 10 years in one with no sense of urgency, thinking there will always be another chance, another moment. Let me tell you something. Be careful with that mentality. If you believe you'll have another life, great.